Welcome, hello, and welcome to Spiritual Astrology. This is bad lighting. I am finally starting my Venus series, so I actually started my first video about a month ago for my introduction. And as you guys know, at this point in time, as I'm uploading this video, I've made a Mars series and a Moon series, and I think that's pretty much it, but I've uploaded a whole bunch of stuff. So in the past, I've talked a lot about my friends in my videos, and I have one here, people I know. So I think I've mentioned in my videos how I've my group of friends each has a planet conjunct, which means on top of the sun. So I have Saturn, which means I'm quite, at my core and my ego, I'm very serious and stern and just probably negative. On the other end of the spectrum, a planet that gets along with Saturn is Venus, which is the series I'm starting. And I thought I would start probably with Aries or Taurus, but I'm going to go with the next sign, Gemini. So I thought it perfect because right now the sun is in Taurus as I'm uploading this, and it's about to go into Gemini. And as the sun moves into Gemini, Venus follows it. So either, if you're a Gemini, you either have Venus in Taurus, Gemini, or Cancer. But this guy was born with the sun right on top of Venus when he was born, so it's right in the middle of, exactly in the middle of Gemini. So to cut it short, to not get into too much detail, because we both have Gemini in our charts, so that means we like detail and we like to talk, and when we talk, we don't stop. It's kind of a Gemini thing. But I have Gemini moon, he has Gemini sun. And with Venus, like I said in my intro video, Venus is all about your values and possessions, and you want, if you have a strong Venus, you want nice things. You appreciate value. You appreciate peace. You appreciate cooperation. You want everyone to get along. And I would hope he agrees, because I feel like I know him. Mm-hmm. So anyway, this is my friend Jacob.
Hi.
Anyway, so I'm more of a talker, and I can go on easily. Gemini moon I don't even have to think. It just comes out, and I talk really well. I feel like I'm just amazing at it. And then Gemini sun is more...
I'm just listening.
Well, he listens a lot, which is good.
I've never seen you do a video, I think, so... I'm just...
Well, either way, I just figured I would try to... I hope you can say a few things if you agree with, what I'm saying. But yeah, Venus. Because I think what makes someone an awesome friend is Venus. If someone has a really good Venus, Venus is what makes you want to get along with people. If you have a Venus, you're going to... everyone has Venus. It shows you what kind of relationships you want. It's what makes two people want to connect. It's more than this. It's kind of people say in spiritual astrology that Venus is the planet that we all should be looking towards because it's the planet that's raising humanity. It's what's bringing peace and harmony to the earth. So this is the spiritual side of astrology. But when Venus is in Gemini, Gemini is all about interaction. It's all about change, diversity, communication. It's just constant moving and information. Gemini energy in its core doesn't like things to stay the same or to be boring or to stay whatever. So that's Gemini at its core. Mm-hmm. But then Venus comes in, and Venus is kind of more chill. Okay, so you have someone that's Gemini who likes all this information, but slightly more, if you put Venus there, it's going to be toned down a little bit and more slowed down and more value-oriented and more focused on more stable relationship. Whereas Gemini in its core, without Venus, is more focused kind of on day-to-day life. So Gemini has a bad reputation for being, a lot of people don't like Geminis, and I feel like Geminis feel bad about that. It's kind of not fair.
I feel like I'm an exception.
Well, he has Libra rising, okay? And he has Moon in Libra. So that's a lot of Libra, right? Now, Gemini is a bit less careful. So Libra, it kind of thinks a bit more about other people. Whereas Gemini is just kind of ADD and less patient. So then you bring in Venus, and it kind of adds value to that. But people with Venus and Gemini, now Venus shows exactly where you place your value, and it's kind of like a leading source of inspiration in your life. It also shows what kind of art or decorations or jewelry you want in your life. It kind of, ironically, we were just talking about jewelry. But Venus, if you have Venus in your chart, you're going to either like decorating, or you're going to have a good eye for good quality clothing, or you're going to like jewelry. It's going to be one of these things in your life. It's going to, I've seen it all the time. So what generally happens, I have a friend with Taurus rising, okay? Taurus is another Venus ruled sign, and so is Libra. So if you have Libra rising or you have Taurus rising, you are ruled by Venus automatically. That's your chart ruler. But anyway, so basically it's like I said, the group of us, the four, or me and my friends, we all have rising signs that rule a certain planet, and that planet that rules our rising sign is on top of our sun at the same time. So that kind of adds an extra layer of how strong it is. So I have a Gemini with a strong Venus, which is like the perfect example of a Venus in Gemini, basically. Except you can probably see Gemini stronger when you have a rising Gemini. Like, it's really obvious. When I meet a rising Gemini, like, we have a few people in our lives, that's different. So add Venus here, right? And it's going to add, I feel like I'm repeating myself a bit, but it's going to add a bit of peace and cooperation and romance. And now remember, Gemini's an air sign, okay? So Gemini's, any air sign, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, are all going to want things to be freedom, like things to be free. And it's all going to be in the mind. So anywhere a planet is in an air sign, it's going to be mind focused. Whatever this planet is doing is going to be focused on your thoughts. So you're going to have an image in your head. So if Venus is in an air sign, you're going to idealize relationships. Everything in your relationship you're going to think about first. I have Venus in Aquarius. So you're going to idealize something. And what may happen when you have Venus in Gemini or Venus in Aquarius or Libra, you're going to probably have an ideal picture in your head, and then reality is never going to match up with that, like ever. But at the same time, you're always reaching for this perfect idea, this perfect goal in your head. And it makes you a very good relationship person. Air sign people are relationship focused. They focus on communication, relationships, friendship, basically things like that. So cousins, like friends, like sisters, siblings, like it's having them around, understanding them, relating them, doing stuff with them. That's very air sign. Especially Gemini. Gemini's the third sign of the zodiac. So starting from the beginning, you have Aries, which is the child, like a newborn. They're very simple-minded. They're very fun. They're energetic. They want to get going. Next, you move on to Taurus. Taurus slows everything down a little bit. It's kind of more, okay, I did stuff, but now I need to look back and figure out who am I, look at my body, take a little slow down. You go back to Gemini. Gemini's a bit more like Aries, but on another level. So Gemini's kind of like two, you could say two Aries, in one, but these two Aries are talking to each other. They're kind of conversing. They're figuring things out. They're thinking more. It's more mental, whereas Aries is more active. Aries does things. Gemini thinks about stuff. So, Venus in Gemini is going to value these kind of relationships. These, everyday talks, everyday things that you do with people. Venus is very, Venus in Gemini, I think I've met a few people. It can be a very spiritually uplifting placement. It's very positive. It's very lighthearted. It doesn't go necessarily into the negative side of life. It doesn't necessarily delve deep into any other subjects. It just kind of is simple, and it just kind of has that basic good relationship kind of going on. I guess, I feel like I've said all the good stuff, but I like to always say the bad stuff because it's what I do in my videos. So basically, what Venus in Gemini can be, the worst side probably, I would say, I'm sitting next to one. Him with the strong Venus. Venus at its best can be obviously the most loving, cooperative people, but at the same time, there can be a kind of sense of not wanting to move. So it's weird here because Venus wants things to stay the same, right? But Gemini wants change. So there's probably going to be a conflict of wanting things to stay the same and change.
Yeah.
So Gemini is bored. It doesn't like things to, its mind is going a mile a minute and it kind of wants to move ahead. But then Venus is like, but I have these people in my life. I can't leave them. I value them. They're important. I have good things. I have everything that I have in my life I've worked hard for. I value it. It's important. My possessions are important. The people in my life are important.
I don't want to just give it up or walk away from it. But at the same time, I still want new and exciting and different.
So I think you probably have a bit, like, more of the conflict, too, at the same time, because you're Gemini, but you have a strong Venus. Your Venus takes over your Gemini, basically. That's rare. When you're a Gemini and you're not necessarily flighty, two-faced, I'll say it.
I'm not.
Flaky. You're not flaky. You're really reliable, which they say Geminis aren't supposed to be very reliable.
I guess I'm the exception.
But they're, Geminis are charming, sociable, easy to get along with, have a sense of humor, not negative, just kind of uplifting, lighthearted, like good on the outside, good with friendships, communicative. And then, of course, there's all of the negative stuff. But, Venus is probably a good place to have Gemini, because at the same time, you might say, oh, but these people might be conflicted because they want change. But at the same time, if you have a good Venus and a good, strong Venus, and it's not negatively aspected, which means it's not like in a bad place against another planet, then you're most likely going to have all the positives show up. And with him right here, he has like a triangle in his chart, which is like really good. It's really rare, but yeah. Anyway, the video is getting long.
It's fine. I'm fine.
I probably talked a lot, but
talk all you want, whatever you want to say.
But yeah, Venus and Gemini.
You didn't really say anything negative, and I'm fine with you saying things negative.
I don't know. Venus people don't like negativity, but so that's.
Well, I don't like negative conflicts, but I don't care if you have anything negative to say about me, because I know my faults and.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about Venus is that at the same time, it doesn't want to start conflict. But some people might be like, a Mars person, because
I don't like negative conflict, but I will confront it if it happens. And
well, you have Mars in Aries, so that's another whole other ball game. But that's just everything else. Mars is your aggression and your anger. Venus, if you have a strong Venus, you don't like getting angry because it's not pretty. So when you have a strong Venus, it's not pretty. You don't get it. You don't understand why people argue. It doesn't make sense. Might as well just keep everyone getting along. But yeah, if you have a strong Mars, that's way different. Like I made a Mars series, and Venus and I always mention that the good placements. Basically, Venus and Gemini is basically neutral. It's not overly positive and it's not overly negative. It's a good basic place. It's just kind of like you're mixing Mercury with Venus. So Mercury is communication and Venus is love and relationships. So it's like you're kind of mixing both together. And then, yeah, that's basically it. Like I have Venus in Aquarius, so it's a lot different. I'm quirky in my relationships. I'm unique. I'm stubborn. And that's different than Gemini. Gemini's more flexible. I have never really had a real relationship. But I think Venus and Geminis were meant, people with strong Venus are meant for relationships. It's kind of like your life path. If you have a strong Venus, you look at your chart, there's a way to calculate it. It just shows you like what you're meant to be. And if it's in Gemini, just for people out there, I would recommend you to have you can choose whatever relationship you want, but you're probably more likely going to get along with and find compatibility and things to flow better if someone has another air sign placement. So if their moon, rising sign, Mars, Jupiter, or Sun is in an air sign, and it makes a triangle to your Venus or whatever, you're going to see that person as very romantic. There's going to be a romantic connection there because it's going to mean that there's some sort of connection, or you understand where they're coming from, or you see them as beautiful. So wherever you see Venus, you see whatever as beautiful. So whatever your Venus is placed, it's something you value, you want in your life, you want to pay money to get. That's what Venus is. You want to put your time towards, your work towards, or your money towards it to obtain it. And that's what Venus represents. It represents something that's valuable and that you work towards and that you find balance doing. And I have a million ideas, but anyway, that's what happens when you have Gemini kind of moon. But yeah, anyway, so I'm going to end this video. I think I've said everything I can. There's probably a million other things I can say. But I thought I'd make a video with the Venus and Gemini here, and yeah, what else I was gonna say? If Venus is what you value, so in my opinion, if you have Venus on your Sun, you probably value yourself, which is probably a good thing. It means you have respect for yourself and you value yourself, which is probably a healthy thing. And I have a negative Venus. My Venus is the weakest planet in my chart, so that probably explains why I don't have any relationships. But yeah, I think next I'm probably going to make videos for Venus and Taurus, because the Sun's in Taurus right now, and then probably Aries, and then move on from there. Anyway, if you like this video, just tell me if you think that I should make videos with other people in them.
It was a bit boring, but it's my first time, so...
Yeah, I know. I did the same thing to my ex. So he just sat there and just didn't say anything. He was awkward.
That's probably a little more...
I mean, if you're not a YouTuber... If you're not a YouTuber... Well, no. I don't know. I just talk, and it's just what I do, and I'd make videos.
Well, that's perfect YouTuber, then.
Yeah, I love making YouTube videos. Anyway, you guys get to meet my best friend. I don't like to be personal. That's an Aquarius thing. I hate making things personal. But this is kind of a peek into my life and who my best friend is. But most of the time, I'm very detached and just kind of logical about my videos. Yeah, but I've been getting a lot of comments, and it's just nice to see that. This is probably longer than my other Venus videos are going to be. But I feel like I might as well make an exception to my favorite Venus person here. Honestly, I think everyone needs someone Venus in their life, because it's there's two positive planets, Venus and Jupiter, okay? Venus is probably the easiest positive planet to kind of understand. It's like the everyday positive stuff. It's like you wake up in the morning, you're like, I want some cake, or I want to treat myself today. That's what Venus does. Mm-hmm. If you're feeling Venus in your life, that's what Venus wants you to do. It pulls you towards
probably wouldn't have cake. I would have cereal like three times, and then more the other day. But
anyway, so I'm probably being really loud and it's getting late. But yeah, Venus is like that. So I recommend people have Venus in their life. Jupiter is the other positive planet, but it's too positive. It's kind of on another level. Venus is everyday, just good stuff. It's kind of the everyday, simple, positive things in your life. It's like an antidote to Mars. Okay, well, thank you for watching, and I think my next videos will be shorter for the rest of the series. So if you have Venus and Gemini, you get a special treat.
Okay, bye.
Bye.